I like to share my screen. If you can enable me, Alexander.
I'm not stopping you. I mean, you can share your screen. I'm not sharing mine.
It says host disabled, participant share.
Did I?
Screen sharing.
It's not really disabled anywhere.
Alexander, sometimes we have to give the host for the temporary for that one to share. That kind of things happens in sometimes in Zoom.
Let me try to share again and unshare. Usually, the wonder in IT, turning it on and off usually works. Can you try now? Sorry, Casey.
Still not working.
Okay, I'll make you the host then, and for sure you should be able to try now.
No. Okay.
We can see your screen.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I cannot see it, but okay. Yeah, so Alexander, you took my words about Agora Speakers International, but
Oops, apologies.
Okay, so I will move on directly to our agenda for today. In our last meeting, we had Chris, president of the International Olympic Committee, that had formally responded to each of a participant, defending his decisions. We learned who Shakia is. We heard a very nice thought of the day from Tamara. We had some very hot and not so simple questions from Edita. And at the end, we had some fun with Gabriela's English improvement games. I'm sure today we will have also some great speeches. What I would like to ask you, to remind you, before each speech, if you can turn off the mic, so we can do not have any distraction. And after that, you can, of course, unmute yourself. I'm welcoming the new members that I see. There are some new members here, and there are opportunities for everybody to ask questions, to answer questions in specific sections, to give feedbacks to our speakers, and to play some games, some English improvement games in the last part of the meeting. Olga, before telling us something about your timer role, I would like to ask you a question with not a complex answer, just to break the ice.
Sure.
If you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why? I would like to ask this question to all our players today, just to let free a little bit our imagination. So let me repeat the question, Olga. If you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
You asked about animals, but the first thought that I got in my mind was about birds. If I could understand the language of birds, it would be superb, because they can fly from one country to another country, from one region to another region, and they can share the, let's say, the knowledge and the experience that they have. So I would like to understand their language.
Great. Thank you. Now, could you please tell us something about your role today?
Thank you. Okay, for today, my role is the timer. It means that I will be helping you to manage the time of your speech. As you know, each speech has the limitation, the minimum time of the speech and the maximum time of the speech. So I have 3 sheets of papers. I hope you can see them. Here they are. And if I show you the green one, it means that the minimum limit is achieved, but still you have 2 minutes to finish your speech. In 1 more minute, I'll show you the yellow one, piece of sheet, and it means that only 1 minute left. And if you see, I'm sorry, and if you see the red one, it means that you have used the whole time that you had for your speech. I'm sure that I can't switch off the sound of the speaker, so I hope when you see the red one, you will try to finish your speech as soon as possible. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Olga. Gabriela, our grammarian of the day. Before telling us something about your role in today's meeting, I would like to put you the same question, to ask you the same question. If you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
Good morning. It's so good I don't have to be original, but I would really like to learn the language of dolphins, not because they're the most intelligent creatures on the planet, but because they're so nice and cute and they sing in a special way, in a way that people can't really understand, but they know there is something there. Well, as far as I know, I have to, as a grammarian, I have to set up a word of the day, which today is serendipity. I don't think I have to write it because everybody knows it, I guess. It means the development of events in a beneficial, happy, positive way. So it's a kind of dual, but with a positive outcome. Also the realization that every cloud has a silver meaning. So I try to put it all together. So you're supposed to use serendipity in all your speeches and feedback, right? Or most of them. We have noticed that not always it is possible to do so. Another thing I have to do is to count the filler words, which is a very difficult task. And last but not least, I will give feedback on the language problems I notice, hopefully. Well, I will do that in a positive way. Yes, thank you. That's my role for today.
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you. Okay, let's move to our next section, Crossfire. Today, our presenter is Anastasia. She will be senior mask and will announce the reopening of the Fremont Tesla plant, that it has been closed since March due to the pandemic. But before that, Anastasia, if you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
Okay, I'm still Anastasia at that moment. I would like to learn dog's language because my dog is barking on me all the time, and I just want to be sure that she's not talking anything, she's just barking.
Great, thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay, dear ladies and gentlemen, today I'm really happy to announce the reopening of our Fremont Tesla plant. As far as you know, it has been closed since March 23rd due to so-called pandemic. And during this period of time, during these 2 months, I worked together with my team and together with very professional, group of doctors and specialists on these questions, and we found out the first point that the pandemic is not so dangerous. The virus is not so dangerous like it has been described in the mass media. And I have already told many times that many more people will be likely die from due to the car crashes, but not due to the virus. And the next point, our Fremont plant has been closed, but it's the only one car producer in the California state. And that means it belongs to the critical infrastructure. And that means it has to continue its operational. It had to continue its operational, like some few other critical production areas in the California state. But anyway, during these 2 months, we had been working really hard with officials from the health department of California state. And at the end, we came to really collaborative decision how we can reopen our plant and protect our employees from any potential health risk which could potentially appear, what I don't believe, but anyway. And our workers will be protected in the best way on their way from home to the plant. And of course, for sure, during their operation activities in our Tesla plant. And from tomorrow, all workers have to come back to our Tesla plant and continue working activities and continue producing the best cars in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasia. Now we can all be participants and ask Senior Musk questions, clarifications, anything related to the topic.
Mr. Musk, you said during the intervention that this so-called pandemic, does it mean that you, after 300,000 deaths in the world and 5 million infected, you don't believe this is a pandemic?
Yes, you're right. Thank you for your question. First of all, thank you for your question. And you're right. I don't really believe that we have a pandemic right now, because if we can compare the figures, how many people died last year, for example, because of the flu or influenza, then we will get much bigger, much greater numbers than the number of the people who died this year because of COVID-19.
Out of how many infected?
Because we need to take into consideration that not all the people are tested for this COVID-19. And the real number of infected is much higher, according to information what we're getting from the official sources. That means the number of deaths or percentage of deaths is lower than we officially know.
Mr. Musk, I must differ with you in a couple of these points. First of all, I'm sure you realize that California is very early on the curve. If you have a look at California, you only have 93 deaths per million compared to 295 deaths per million in the rest of the United States. I think that to open the plant now will show you very clearly that, in fact, you do have a pandemic. If you remember that we're at the beginning of the pandemic, then you'll realize the numbers are going to be so much larger. I'd also like to point out to you, you're comparing the deaths over a 2-month period of the beginning of a pandemic to an entire year of deaths due to other causes. I think you need to rethink this matter.
We took into consideration all these factors. And also you mentioned very good point that many officials are also highlighting that beginning of the curve, but we need to take into consideration the environment where we live. And California is one of the hottest states in the US. That means we have the biggest amount of the ultraviolet here. That means that less people will be ill because of this pandemic.
Mr. Musk, I'd like to take you up on that point as well. Ultraviolet light that kills the coronavirus needs to be a very high intensity ultraviolet light, a light which would damage people as well. It is not the ultraviolet that you get from sunlight.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I understood your question in the right way. Could you please rephrase it?
Mr. Musk, I understood you to be saying that the ultraviolet light in sunlight would be detrimental to COVID-19. I'm making the point that that is certainly not the case. The UV light that is detrimental to COVID-19 in the laboratory is a very high intensity UV light, not the sort of UV light that you get from sun. I'd like to hear your opinion of that.
Because I have, as I already mentioned in the beginning of my speech, I have been working with with a group of very professional doctors and the specialists in the area, and we found out that the sun impacts in very positive way, and it decreases the potential of the illness.
Well, the World Health Organization doesn't say that. In fact, there are published studies that state that higher temperatures do not necessarily make the virus less infective.
You know, the official information is not always the right information. And I believe the people who I'm working with, because they have a really the best reputation in the world. And all if you have any questions, whom they are, you can find all this information on my website, because all this information is published there. And they did a really good job in this way and found out that the sunlight or the temperature impacts in very positive way all the potential disease.
It's interesting that you mentioned that official information is not always good, but then before you quoted official information. Actually, I would like to take you on that because, for example, you compared car deaths in California with COVID-19. In fact, the deaths for COVID-19 in these 2 months are already higher than all the car deaths from car crashes in California from past year. So I think your data is coming from, I don't know where from. What do you have to say on that?
We're comparing the figures from not only for California, but for the whole world and for the whole country. And if probably last year we had less, fortunately, less deaths due to the car crashes, it's only an exception. But normally there are unfortunately, a lot of people are dying from the car crashes. And the same point, we need to take into consideration that due to all this, I don't have any other words, fascistic stay-at-home orders, we have not so many people on the roads who are driving the cars. That's why we had not so many, unfortunately, in this case, we have not so many people who has died due to the car crashes.
Mr. Musk, despite your certainty about the impact of COVID-19, many of your workers will still feel scared and worried about this disease. What methods have you put in place to reassure them of the safety of returning to work?
Yes, thank you for your question. Yeah, unfortunately, this is the fact that some workers are really scared about it because they believe the official figures, what they have. But we worked really hard with officials from the health government and with my group of professionals. And we found the best way to protect the workers. That means they don't have to be afraid of any health risks. They will be protected in the very best way during their way from home to job and during their operations in a Tesla plant. And even lunch breaks are changed in this way to guarantee the social distance, what is very important at this moment, according to the officials. And they all are wearing the masks and the gloves. That means any potential risks will be avoided.
May I ask also?
Yes.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understood, you said that the sun that in your state, in California state, it's a really good factor to help people, to protect people to be sick with COVID-19. But in case you have workers, they have to be in the car driving to work. Then they need to spend whole day working. I believe it's somewhere outside, somewhere inside. So they need to work in the plant. And then in the evening, when sun goes down, they go right back to home. So they spend whole day without the sun actually. How it helped them to be safe from COVID-19? And what your organization give them as what promises did you give them in case they will get sick?
Thank you very much for your question. It was a really hot topic during our discussion with the officials, and we implemented some other rules to avoid any potential risk in this case. First of all lunch breaks, they will be done outside. That means the workers will spend at least 1 hour not in the building, but in the sun. And the second point, the workers will be working not 8 hours as usually, but less hours to spend less time in the building, but to enjoy the sun and to reduce any potential risk to be sick. And if somebody will be sick, will be ill, I will take all the responsibilities of it, and I will guarantee the proper healing in this case. All the risk will be taken by me.
But how is that possible? He'll be the one in the hospital.
I will pay all the bills for the treatment, and I guarantee that the best doctors will treat this case.
What if these best doctors will be busy with other patient?
Okay, as already told, we already considered all the situations, and I'm working with a professional group of people, and they will be responsible for treating this person, and they know all the best alternatives, all the best ways how to treat this patient.
Excuse me.
Sorry, one by one I can.
Sorry. Can I get Chris? Can I ask first, and then you can carry on? Right. With due respect, Mr. Mas, I have to follow on with Anna actually. It is that now what kind of way that you can guarantee actually that your specialist doctors can get treat all these whoever gets sick, because the problem that even every country is right now is having the hospitals have been overwhelming with these COVID patients. So do you have any kind of other methods? Because the thing is that you can't take all your patients to those hospitals. So it's kind of like giving another risk of the ones who are even not having this disease to be spread all over there as well.
Okay. Thank you for your question. I understand your concerns, but we found the way how to protect our workers. First of all, you need to take into consideration that our workers don't belong to the risk group, so-called risk groups. Most of them are young people, and they will it's really on theoretical ways that will be ill. But anyway, we will we have already opened a special hospital only for the workers who will be work here at a Tesla plant, and they will be treated by our doctors who are working with me, who are working with Tesla at that moment. That means we can guarantee that these people will not be treated in the other hospitals. They're, according to official information, overwhelmed right now.
Mr. Musk, if your workers are young people, considering the real estate prices in California, then they are probably living with their parents that are a risk group. Don't you think there is a danger there?
Okay, yeah, this is the other point what was discussed with officials, but we decided to solve this in this way. That first of all, these young people are protected in the best way. They not to be infected, but if in any case they will be infected, their parents will be treated like the other patients who are working for Tesla plants. Yep.
Mr. Musk, you stated that all of your workers will be enjoying lunch breaks outdoors in the sunlight. However, we all know that California is not sunlight all the time. There are occasional periods of rain. If you get a lot of rain together, will that not put your workers at risk?
Okay. Yeah, if we look at the normal weather in California, average weather in California, then we have much more sun than rain. That means that the rainy weather will be really rare. And even it's raining, then we will have sun afterwards.
Mr. Musk, I certainly hope that the doctors that will be looking after the sick patients are not the same ones that have misled you in believing that there is no pandemic right now.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, unfortunately, I've heard so many concerns about it, and the concerns like you just mentioned. But as I mentioned before, we did a really detailed analysis, and we have a lot of proving evidence. All of them you can find on my website. You can find out the names of the doctors, of the specialists whom I was working with, and you will be for sure, 100% sure afterwards that the pandemic at the moment is not so real, it's not so dangerous as is declared in the official media.
Mr. Musk, can you reveal the amount of money that you lost during this COVID-19 due to what you said, that you kind of built special hospital with special doctors and hire special doctors, super professional doctors that will take care of your employees who could be sick and their parents who could be sick. So how much does it cost for you to build this totally new environment during this pandemic?
It's a very good question. Yeah, I know what you mean. But all this information you can also find on my website, and you can also find the comparison. What the amount of money the company has lost during this shutdown, due to the lockdown, and anyway, the losses what we had because of this lockdown are much higher than any cost for this hospital and for this cooperation with the professionals.
So that means that for you it is really pandemic and it's really disaster, and you need to consider this COVID-19 as pandemic because it cost you, as you said, much more money as it usual. And for this COVID-19, whole world spent much more money than we spent to take care of those who crashed in the car. Can you say that you agree that COVID-19 is a disaster?
Okay, I would say COVID-19 is a disaster for economic world, for the whole for the world's economy. because I'm not the only one. Tesla is not the only one company in the world who lost very much. And in this case, it's a disaster, yes.
Mr. Musk, I've been looking at your website and I found the names of these doctors who have been advising you. And I looked at their qualifications. And the first two I find were doctors of economics, and the third one was a doctor of mathematics. These are not medical degrees. Why do you feel that these people are qualified to advise you on medical matters?
You need to do a deep analysis of the information what is posted on my website, because there are a lot of names, and probably you have just looked at one of them, and the other doctors there are really the doctor of medicine, and they know what they're doing, and they know how to treat the different diseases. And there are people who are working on the viruses as well, and they have a very good reputation in this field. And only one case, they don't support the official government, doesn't mean that they're providing false information. It means that they're supporting the science and they're supporting the people around.
Thank you, Anastasia. If you don't have any other question, I think, yeah, if you had the feedback on Anastasia's speech.
Well, first of all, congratulations for the courage. We grilled you quite a bit. You did manage to escape unscathed some of the questions. My recommendation is, in general, have your data ready, especially when you make comparisons. Because once you start referring to other sources, it diminishes a lot your credibility, especially if they are unnamed sources, because everyone has them. And try not to go into a fantasy land, meaning that I have them on the website, because then, as Casey did, he can also go into fantasy land and say, I looked at the website and there are none. And then it becomes like a very hypothetical discussion. But above all, you need to prepare for, at least with the data, for your own claims. When you made that comparison between car crashes and deaths, for example, but it relates to any other argument. That's very easy to look up, to see it, check whether it's true or not. So be sure that the statements that you yourself make are rock solid. Then, of course, you can be surprised at a conference and someone quoting some data. It's okay to say, well, I'm not unaware of that. I'll look it up. No need to go into a spiral of, let's say, thinking. But other than that, congratulations for enduring it. And you picked a difficult topic as well to defend. Kudos.
Thank you. I think we can move on to our next section. Shakia today is doing a speech analysis for the first time in our meetings. But before that, Shakia, if you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
Well, thank you very much. Well, I would say marine language. That's mean like any language that sea creatures will be talking about. I'll think I really love to learn that language. Then I can be like the Aquaman and the Jason Momoa like that and like that. So yeah, so marine language will be my wish.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So before I start, I would like to share a speech where I believe that it will be really great, useful for every one of you all. So this speech is regarding, I mean, in this speech, you will learn to how to do you will learn how to do a speech in this way. right? So I hope that you will enjoy this page, and I did also. Julia, can you just allow me to share the screen? Okay.
Can you try now?
No, still it's been disabled. You have to go to the settings, and in the share screens, able me to the able participants to share the screens like that.
I made you host, Shakya, so you should be
Thank
able
you.
All
to.
right. Okay. Right. Okay. Hold on. Let me share the screen. Okay. So guys, this is the speech. I hope you will enjoy this.
We're not hearing the audio, or at least I'm not hearing it.
I thought it was a homework to watch this video, so I watched it twice.
Yeah, let's assume it's watched.
Sorry.
We're not hearing the audio, but let's assume that it's watched already by everyone since you shared it
It's
before.
also sure. Then I can move on with my speech analysis thing.
Yep, yep.
All right. Okay. Sure. So then, yeah. So I hope that you have watched. If you have most of you have watched it, that is really good. So if you have not watched that, I have anyway shared the link in our messenger group. So this speech is done by Mohammed Khatani. He's a public. He has been a public speaking champion in 2015. So in his speech, he's talking about power of words. So if you have seen his video in this speech video, I may the main thing in a speech have to be is that the opening and the body and the conclusion. So that's the three main things that a good speech needs to have. So when it comes to a opening needs to be a clear. It should be a clear opening. That's mean you have to come. Sometimes you have to come. Some people take this opening as to come to the point exactly. But sometimes some people take a lot of time to come to the point. So it's the matter of time that you are taking for the from your opening and come to the body. It matters, and body means that you come to the your speech body. So the opening, the critical one is the opening. In there, you have to be quick as well. So in his Mohammed Khatani speech, his opening, I just timed it. It only takes around 1 minute time, less than 1 minute for his from his speech, from his opening to carry down to his speech body. So, and he did, even though he takes 1 minute as well, it was a very good impact. From the first, without a word is being uttered, he got the everyone's attention. So that's the one of the best thing that a good speaker needs to have. That even before a speech begin, you need to have you need to get the audience attention to yourself, right? So that's a one way of getting the attention without even because using your body language you may get the a person's audience attention. So that's why he used that simple thing, a gesture of like he's going to smoke and like that. So then he got the attention of it, and then when he's moving to the speech in the body speech, he did it in a order of having a in a topical speech. So in topical speech means that he has a flow from this smooth flow from the opening to the conclude to the end of the speech. There was a smooth flow, and we didn't saw any kind of pause transitions for every point that he's made. So in every he took one point in the first point that he was talking about how he could a power of the word can make a child a change of a child's attitude, right? And the second one, it shows that how persuading can be a power of word is may make sure can change persuade people to change things. So if that the way of persuading is depends on the way you say it. So that's it's been explained in his second point. And the third point, he shows that the main thing is the main core of the words is the power. Yeah, that it can even make a person to motivate person to do achieve things, and also it can ruin person's life as well. And he took that example and it showed it in that way as well. So the way the body of that structure is known as the topical structure of that. So where he took it on the three ways of that. So the most of you have now there are other ways of having the structure of the body as well. So now if most of you have listened to my speech as well, in that speech I took it in a chronological way, that I took the speech constructor in a time lapse of my life. So now in here he took it in a certain points, he connected each other, and but in each of these points he was able to connect in everything. And then the conclusion again, it was a small conclusion. I mean, a small time was taken for to conclude it, and he had the flow with the with his last part of his point. He was able to conclude with a bang in his speech. So I believe that was a really good speech where every one of us can learn how to open a speech, and then how we can have a better body and a better structure of a speech with a good message for our speech, and end it with a bang where that everyone can have a memory of your speech at the end of. So I hope that you all got to know, and I hope that every one of you are going to use these skills in your hot topic session as well. So over to you.
Thank you, Shakia. Thank you. Alexander, our prepared speech evaluator, do you have something to tell about Shakia's speech?
Yeah, let me get the row of host back from him so that I can share my screen. Okay. Now, this is a part of the educational path, so it has a formal evaluation sheet. I'll share it with everyone. So it's not just some random feedback. It's specifically about the speech analysis. So the speech chosen by the presenter was shared to the members before the meeting. That is great, actually. So we have the time to watch it as a video. It doesn't need to be a video. It can be an audio. It can be a written speech. And it's great that it's shared because during the meeting we can concentrate on the analysis. And it also allows us to analyze longer speeches that wouldn't fit into this particular section. Was the presenter analysis accurate? I think it was. He clearly identified the three main parts of the speech, at least the structural parts, the opening, the body, and the conclusion. And the speech definitely fitted that purpose. That's a very typical one. I missed the identification. You did mention, Shakia, that the opening was about 1 minute long. I did miss, for example, to mention how long were the rest of the sections. And another thing that I missed is identifying the specific phrases that were used for the transitions. Because, for example, within the body, and I like that, by the way, you did identify several subsections. You mentioned what each one was about. I like that you compared to previous speech, and I like that you were very educational, by the way, in your analysis, meaning that you tried to teach us how to open, and you tried to also indicate the different ways in which you can structure a body, like you mentioned topical or faceted versus chronological. That was a very nice touch. And regarding how could the presenter improve the accuracy of the analysis, the things that I missed are mainly identifying the particular transitions that were used to move from one section to another. And one thing I would do is during your analysis, that would be a good occasion to project or to share the screen with the speech and just move to the exact location and let us watch maybe 10 seconds of that particular part so that we can hear it. Instead of trying to recall, because usually it's difficult to have like in mind exactly what you're referring to, and I think it's much more instructive to actually watch it. Other than that, well done, I think. Congratulations. And oh, I have a note here, but it's not relevant. Anyway, congratulations, well done.
Thank you, Alexander. Do we have other feedback for Shakia's speech? Someone maybe didn't spoke today at all?
So I think it was a great speech. You spoke very accurate, and I really like that you spoke in a chronological way. That's all what I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I think we can move on with our next section, the hot question. And today, Florina is our hot question master. Hello, Florina.
Hello.
Before leaving you the scene, could you tell us if you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
I think I would choose the dog language because I like very much these animals and they're such loyal friends. So I would like to have the ability to talk to them.
Thank you. Thank you. Please let us know your hot questions for today.
Okay, so for today I have prepared 14 questions. So 14, not 40. 14 questions. So the victims of this topic should choose a number from 1 to 14.
Yeah, maybe we can start with someone that haven't spoke today. Choose one, Florina.
Me? Okay. Let's say Coca, would you agree to answer?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, Florina.
Okay, please tell me a number.
Number 4.
Number 4. Do you think you can remain best friends with your ex-partner?
Right, a very interesting question. I'm glad my wife isn't here. Right. It is. I still remain friends with some of my girlfriends from the past, and I think we can still be good friends after you got married to. Why not? Well, you should know where your relationships are, where to stop a relationship, where to continue a relationship. I'm a person who wouldn't make enemies with anybody in this world. Well, that being said, I should know where my boundaries begin and where my boundaries start. So I'll make sure my family and my wife is not never neglected. They always come first, and that way we can continue to have a relationship or a just talking relationship with anybody in this world. I think that should be okay. That's all from me, Florina.
Okay, thank you very much.
I couldn't see the timer. Did I speak to the green? Who was timing it? Okay. Right, Florina, continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will pick next victim, or is someone volunteering? I think Chris wants to take part.
It's
Okay.
Casey. Chris is this guy.
Oh, sorry, I apologize, Casey. Please tell me a number.
7.
7. Do you believe that having a short affair will help to improve your actual relationship?
It has been said that for a scientist, there's only one reason to ever have an affair. The reason is this. The wife thinks with the girlfriend thinks with the wife, and go to the lab and get some work done. Now, you see, the wife thinks you spend too much time on your work. So if you have a brief affair, then you can use that as an excuse to get the work done without letting the wife know you're getting the work done. This improves the relationship because the wife thinks that she is finally beginning to distract you from all the science that's been pulling you away from her. So therefore, under these specific circumstances, you can see how a brief affair can improve the relationship with the wife. Thank you.
I thank you very much. Okay, someone else who would like to answer? I will choose a victim if you don't volunteer. Let's say Anastasia. Anastasia, would you like to try?
Do you mean me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, please choose a number.
5.
5. Okay, this will be interesting. I hope. I will play a song, and please tell me what memories does this song give you.
I'm sorry, are you playing something? Because I don't hear anything.
Didn't you hear it?
Yeah, no sound.
Okay, did you hear it? Oh, no sound.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No sound.
The song is ABBA, Gimme Gimme. I don't know why it can't be heard.
You can sing it, Florina, if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I don't know the lyrics. I don't know what the lyrics.
Oh yeah, another number probably.
Yes, maybe you should choose another number. I'm sorry for the technical problem.
No problem.
So what's another number?
Number 2.
Number 2, basically. Do you believe that persons who commit severe crimes deserve a second chance of recovery or to reintegrate in the society?
Could you please say it again?
Yes. Do you believe that persons who commit severe crimes deserve a second chance of recovery, or do they deserve to be reintegrated in the society?
It depends on different factors. The person who committed such a crime, probably he was affected at that moment. Probably it was self-defense at that moment, or the other option when he committed this crime on purpose. But anyway, if he was in prison or he has been in prison for a period of time, and when he left the prison, he for sure has to get another chance to integrate the option, and the society needs to accept him, because otherwise he will commit the other crime and another one and so on. But if the society will give him another option to recover, will accept him like he is, and give him the chance to change his life, then the person or the possibility that he commit the other crime or committed something bad will decrease.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Someone else for the question?
Let me try.
Okay.
Want to be part of it. Maybe I missed, but number 11. If nobody choose 11.
Yes. Can censorship bring benefits to the society?
Can what? Can you repeat?
Censorship.
Censorship. I'm sorry, I need to translate this word and I will answer.
I will write it in the chat.
You mean censorship?
Yes, yes, yes.
Censura.
Yes, censura.
Okay, and now please repeat the question. I'm sorry for being so.
Don't worry.
Easier. So, can censorship brings back what?
Benefits to the society.
Yes, I think it could. Actually, I like to watch videos. If I understand the question correct, I like to watch videos, like clear videos without hiding anything. It gives me real opinion, like it gives me understanding what author can say. So I think there are some benefits. Of course, we need to have some rules, not to overusing this, but still, I think it's. I don't think it's that bad. So I think there are some benefits in everything, and in this case as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Do someone else want to answer my question?
Michael, probably, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name in the right way.
Michael.
Okay. Please choose a number.
Okay, so maybe 17 number.
No, from 1 to 14.
Sorry. So maybe 14.
14. Would you agree with the world talking the same language? I mean, like having a universal language for the whole planet.
Could you repeat universal language for the whole planet?
Would you agree for the world to have the same language, like having a universal language, not having to talk Italian, Romanian, English, everyone talking the same language on the planet? Would you agree with this?
I think that it's very hard to imagine that we would have a universal language in the world. But you ask whether I would agree with
Yes.
that idea?
If you would agree and why?
Okay, I wouldn't agree that it would be a good idea, because I think that in the some parts of Earth, people have different cultures and different kind of communication they were established. So it wouldn't be useful for the whole world, I think so. Probably it would provide to miscommunication between people, paradoxically. I'm not sure whether I pronounced that word correct, but okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I still have questions open, so does someone want to volunteer?
Shri?
Maybe 3S
Yes,
would like to try.
Yeah, I'd like to try.
Okay,
No.
Gabriela, please choose a number.
Number 5.
It was already
Number
taken.
1.
Number 1. Okay. What do you prefer to choose between a beautiful lie or an ugly truth, and why?
So between a beautiful lie and
or an ugly truth.
Oh, Well, I'm a really realistic person, so I will always choose the ugly truth. Oh, wow. Well, I am a believer in this theory of serendipity, that the good and the beautiful will finally prevail. And even if the truth is ugly, it will finally turn into something beautiful. Because that's life, and it has always been so. Whereas if I chose a beautiful lie, that would definitely turn into something ugly in the end, and I would have an ugly lie at the end of the day. Whereas if I chose an ugly truth, I would have a beautiful truth at the end of the day. So I know it sounds silly, but it's not. Thank you.
I thank you very much for your answer. Okay, I still have 7 open questions for you. So who would like to try another question?
You can give me number 8.
Okay. If your most loved one commits a crime, what would you do? Would you be their partner in crime? Would you call the authorities? Or would you pretend that nothing happened?
My wife is an amazing person. She never commits crimes, or so I thought until just last week. And believe it or not, she committed the greatest crime of all. She burnt the supper. Now, this is a really terrible thing. And so I've had to have a good talk with her. So I certainly have not ignored the crime, but I didn't quite think that it required me to call the police. So I haven't called the police either. But I have warned her, next time it happens, I will be on that phone to the police immediately. So to answer this rather difficult question, I think that it depends on the crime. And even this one, which was totally, a terrible crime, I thought that perhaps I would give her this extra chance. And amazingly, it's quite serendipitous that ever since then, the meals have been fantastic. So I really do believe that a little bit of leniency sometimes is worth it. Thank you, Madam Hot Topics Master.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you, Florina, and thank you all the participants.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to give the floor to Anna. She's the first time here in our meeting, and she already picked up a role, so congratulations. Anna will be our hot questions evaluator. But before that, Anna, if you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
First of all, I'm very glad to be a part of this meeting. And secondly, I would like to answer this question. And it's very simple, and I would prefer to know dog's language, as most of participants. And the reason is very simple. I'm a very talkative person, and I like to talk. I like when I have someone next to me with whom I can discuss some stuff. And during this lockdown, I'm sitting at home all alone, and I'm kind of bored, and it would be nice to have a dog. So I'm thinking about buying a dog. I love dogs, and it would be very big advantage of this dog if he could speak, so I can speak with my dog and I can understand her language. And I actually plan to get Maltipoo, and Maltipoo, they have brains as similar to 3 years old baby. So if I can have this small baby who can speak and which language I can understand, it would be awesome. Yeah, so my role is hot question evaluator, and as far as I understand from these rules, I need to evaluate, to give my feedback to hot question master, to Florina, regarding the question she just asked. Is that correct? I hope, right?
And the participants as well.
Yeah, okay. So first about Florina, I checked how hot questions should be built, and she followed all the rules. So all her questions were realistic. They were nothing, they were realistic, that's true. They were not too easy. Some of them even was very difficult. So it's really hot question. And questions should be not too obscure. They were clear, I think, for everyone. Just for me, because I didn't know the word censorship. And they were all open-ended questions. So I think that, and some of them were inconvenient, uncomfortable, about cheating stuff and something, and crime of your loved person. So I think that Florina did her task very, very well on top level. So that was very good. I don't think that I could prepare. If I will take this role for next time, I hope I will do the same, but you were perfect. I just have checklist here, so everything is good. So talking about the answers that participant gave to you, I also think that everyone made very good job with answers. Some of them took this hint to take few seconds to think about what they want to say. Some of them, even if they just jump to answer, and even if they don't know the answer of this question, they try to play with words and talk at least for 30 seconds to give you full answer. So I think all did well with these tasks. Questions were hot. I really like the questions, and my personal opinion, I prefer questions that are not psychological, but some private, that depend on person. When person needs to be in really uncomfortable way to ask. Because when you ask like open question, what do you think about something in global, it could be the answer could be unpredictable, because you can fly with your thoughts. You can say, I think this, I think that, and it doesn't give you strict opinion of what person in front of you. But if you ask some question, like you ask the first, what was it? It was, do you think that small affair could help to your relationship? And person give his real own opinion, not opinion that he reads somewhere or can take from internet. It's really nice. I really liked it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And thank you again, Florina, and all participants. If you don't have any other feedback, we will move on. But if you have, please speak now. Okay, no other feedback, so we will move on to our English improvement games sections. Chris, hi. Before everything, if you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
I would certainly learn the language of cats, because they live such a wonderful life. They're in control of everything. People feed them, they give back no love. They go lie in the sun, they have a life of leisure, they just know how to live. A cat would certainly be the language, the cat's language would be the language I'd like to learn, because I'd like to learn from them how to live that life, which unfortunately I don't find it easy to do. So thank you, Madam Meeting Leader. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to encourage people to use some vivid words. I'm going to give you the vivid word to use. So I'm taking a sentence out of a little project I do sometimes with my club, where I help them to use expressive language. And I'm taking a sentence there to start a story. So I'm going to start a story. And then I'm going to name people. And each time I name a person, I'm going to give you a word. And you are going to add the next sentence to the story. All of these words deal with the senses. So each time you get a word, it's going to have to, you're going to have to make a sentence which follows on the story, but which also uses that word. So I hope that's clear. The story starts like this. I could have said, I could have started the story with a sentence like, I had a cold shower, but that is going to not use the senses. So I'm going to use a sensual sentence to start with, and then I'm going to follow on with asking one of you, one by one, to continue. Let's go. As the sweet smell of the soap filled my nostrils, replacing the acrid stench of old sweat, the icy fingers of water crept down my back like a series of tiny pin pricks. The goose flesh stood out on my body. I shivered. Edita, will you please continue using the word cackling?
Wait a bit, but I don't know what it means.
Would you like to prefer then to use a start one? Use blonde.
Blonde. So I saw a small beautiful girl with blonde hair.
Coca, would you like to continue with cackling, please?
Cackling, Chris, is the sound of water boiling kind of a thing. Am I right?
More like the sound that noisy birds make.
Cackling, okay. Then I heard a cackling sound or cackling from outside the window. I put on my bathrobe and I walked to the window and I looked out. It was pitch dark outside. And okay, back to you.
Mikhail, would you please continue with the word smooth?
Michael? Sorry, I had some problems with connection, but I cannot hear exactly. Maybe today I'm not gonna continue, okay?
Okay, fine. Julian, can you help us with the word smooth in the sentence?
I walked out of the door and I touched the smooth wall of my bathroom, and then going up to the going outside and see the sun.
Alexander, would you please continue the story with the word fetid? Alexander?
We cannot hear you.
Jesus, stupid mistake. Suddenly I felt a fetid smell in the air, and I couldn't understand what was going on with my head, because first it was night, then it was day. I thought something was wrong with my senses.
Gabriela, can you please bring in the word acidic into the story?
Yes, thank you. My wife, who was lying next to me and snoring loudly, suddenly, suddenly burst out laughing, well, giving me her usual acidic speech about how bad our relationship was and how she would like to go on with her life.
Thank you, Gabriela. I'm sure that your wife was very unhappy lying, sleeping on the path outside. Leroy, can you please help us and continue with the sound hiss in your sentence?
And suddenly it was night, and then turned to day, and I found myself in the bedroom, and my wife gave me an acidic speech, and suddenly I realized there's something else underneath the bed. There was a hissing sound, and lo and behold, there was a big snake coming towards us.
Christina, can you please use the word brat as you continue with the story?
Okay. When I woke up in the morning, I see bright weather, and it's great. I can notice a bright smile in the people, people, and it's great that we living and we have many opportunities of life.
Thank you. Tamara, can you please continue with the word clammy?
Okay, I'll check what is the meaning of this word.
It means sort of, if you hold somebody's hand, it can be a bit sweaty, it will be cold and clammy, cold and wet.
Okay. And I saw that small blonde girl, and I took her hand, and it was clammy.
Olga, can you please continue and use the word pungent? Olga?
Yeah, I can. I felt that this pen was really clammy, but in some minutes I started to smell the pungent, I don't know, smell of something, and the smell came from the window, from the garden that we have near the house.
Shakia, can you continue with the word sweet? Shakia?
We cannot hear you, Shakia.
It was a sweet scenario that I saw when I look into the window in the garden. The whole garden was filled with a lot of chocolates, and suddenly I felt like I felt like the fairy tale of Hansel and the Gretel, and it felt like there was a house filled with gingerbread.
Anna, can you please continue with the word scrumptious?
Give me a second. Scrumptious.
Very tasty.
Okay, so I already missed the whole day that you described, from shower, then blonde girl, then smelly something. So I would say that I holding the baby, the small girl, with her clammy hands, and suddenly she gave me something from another hand. I was afraid to take this stuff, but she asked me to try. And with closing eyes and shutting my nose, I tried it. And the taste was scrumptious. Maybe because other thing that I heard before was disgusting. I felt it scrumptious, but it was, believe me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for taking part, Madam Meeting Leader. I think that concludes my project for today.
Thank you, Chris. Very funny. Thank you to all participants. Okay, let's move on to our next section. And here we have Edita. If you want to tell us something about your role, your listening evaluator.
Yes.
After you will answer to my question, if you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
If I could learn any animal language, I will learn probably the language of rabbits, to understand how can they communicate without words, and to practice it in my life with other, and to learn this language for other people.
Thank you.
The role of listening evaluator is to evaluate how our community listens opinions and speeches of others. So I prepared five questions. First question is, why Elon Musk don't trust that the pandemic is so dangerous? Who can answer this question?
The reason is because his panel of experts advised him differently.
Yes, sure. So, in Shakia's speech, we heard that Mohammed Katani had three educative messages in his speech. What were these educative messages?
If no one remembers it, can you remember us?
If I'm not mistaken, that every speech has to have a beginning, main part, and conclusion.
Yes. Also two. It was only one.
That words have power.
Yes.
Words have influence, and you should know how to use the words.
Yes, and also one. So it was the correct using of body language. So my third question is, what was Anna's opinion about the censorship? Who can remember that?
It can be beneficial because in this case, she can understand what the author wants to share with the audience.
Yes. So Chris said that he wants to learn, if he can learn a language of an animal language, he will learn the language of cats. What was the reason to learn the language of cats?
Because they are so nice and he would like to learn from them. They are so wise, sorry, and he would like to learn from them. Definitely wiser than us or something like that.
Yes. And also he wants to learn have to live life without any responsibilities or something like that. That I understand. It was my last question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Edita. Olga, could you tell us the timing of our players now that we finished all the roles?
Thank you, Julia. First of all, I also want to bring my apologies because I did a mistake at the beginning and was not managing the time for the first activity. So, but after that, I managed the controlling of the time that you spent for your speeches correctly. So, my apologies for this. As for the rest of the timing, I guess we did well. All the speeches suited to the available time for the speech. I mean that the maximum time was overpassed only once. It was made by Shakir. However, we had technical problems before his speech, and that is why I didn't stop the timer. So if I start counting from the moment when he started to talk, it would be okay, I guess. However, as I was waiting for the video to start and to listen to it, so we lost some time, I guess. As for the rest, some of the we spent only 10 minutes, 37 seconds for the section language for the language improvement game because the story was over, I guess, and everyone has answered and has an opportunity to continue the story and to use the word. When we answered hot questions, some of the speakers talk less than 1 minute. And in this part of the meeting, I didn't manage this time because we could be confused. If I show you green one sheet of paper, you would not know if it is the end of the whole activity or whether it's the end of the speech for this exact attender participant. Yeah, but in whole, I guess that we didn't have any big problems with managing the time that we have.
Thank you, Olga. Gabriela, could you give us an overview of the language correctness during this meeting?
As far as I can see, the language we speak is getting better every week, so that's good news. We're improving on this. I would like to start with the fillers, and my guess is that we use fillers because we think while we speak. So the number of fillers shows this natural process of creating ideas while we speak. So we all have a lot of fillers, a lot of pauses. We do make repetitions. So I really stopped counting, for instance, the fillers Shakya used, because he did use a lot of them. But I would advise him to record his speeches one day. I mean, that's what I do with my students, and I think that's a good that's good practice. Well, as far as language mistakes are concerned, what I noticed is, but I'm not sure if I wrote the author. For instance, I wouldn't say die due to something, because due to sounds to me like a positive thing. I would say die from or die of. But I also checked, you can say die due to car crashes. Only I wouldn't use it. Then somebody said who crashed in cars. I would say who died in car crashes. To protect people to die, it would be to protect people from dying. And then in case they will get sick, should be in case they get sick. What else? To make a person, to motivate should be followed, the verb to make should be followed by short infinitive. Make a person motivate somebody else. Somebody didn't spoke should be somebody didn't speak. Someone that haven't spoken today should be someone that hasn't spoken today. Well, that's all I can say for now. I come from an Eastern European culture where teachers are very hard on people and very hard on the students' mistake. But I'm really trying to learn, and because it's such a sensitive issue, you don't want to be exposed, and I think that's all for today. Alexandra, I would like your feedback on this. I mean, should I have mentioned the exact person who made that specific mistake, or? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gabriela, first of all, for your useful advice. I will present now Alexander as our meeting evaluator. But Alexander, before speaking and evaluate us all the meeting, if you could learn any animal language, what would it be and why?
Okay, I'm going to surprise here, everyone. I would like to learn the language of insects, although that would probably involve smelling a lot of fetid stuff, because part of their communication is through chemicals. But the reason is because they are everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere, so they know what's happening everywhere. It could give rise to some very interesting conversations.
Great.
Now, we had a fantastic meeting. We were not in a duel to continue with the tradition of recycling words of the day from past meetings. It was a great meeting, and it was not due to serendipity. It was due to a lot of preparation, and with that, I would like to congratulate first the meeting leader, you, Julia. You did a fantastic job. It was super smooth. It was well prepared. I like that. It was fantastic that you had a presentation. I'm sorry that I overspoke, but my advice for you would be do your thing regardless of what happened before. Just adapt, because it's a pity that we didn't get to see that. I would have loved to see that actually. But lesson for me to shut up next time and give the meeting leader the chance to be a meeting leader as well. You took control. I like the way that you took control throughout the whole meeting, especially in the hot questions part when you decided that it was time to move on. Some small pieces of advice for improvement: try to ask the questions, especially for introducing participants, before the meeting, so that it doesn't break, like as we usually say, it doesn't break character. If, for example, Anastasia is Elon Musk and you suddenly ask something like completely unrelated to the activity, it kind of breaks the setting. So I would suggest, once you know who is going to participate, just write them in private, same question, and then use that as an introduction, because what I missed is it's something that we don't do, if I don't do it myself, and it's a bad thing, and it's a proper introduction of the participants other than just saying their name. But other than that, fantastic job. And I loved as well that you prepared before the meeting. That's something we seldom see. You chased participants in the chat for rows, you posted the agenda. You definitely set the bar for everyone. Congratulations. Now, Gabriela, our grammarian. I like the word of the day. I like the introduction. I would have missed a bit of more of examples of how to use serendipity. It's not like a super common word. And especially for both for the grammarian and the timer, Olga, one thing we should try to explain is why we do that. I mean, why do we have this grammarian row? Is just for chasing people and chastising them for using filler words, or what's the purpose? Or why do we measure time? Why is it so important?
Can I say something?
No, you
Maybe,
can't.
thank you.
Yes, you can.
Maybe from now on, I tried to do that today. Maybe from now on we should use all the words suggested by the grammarians every week, and this is how we could learn the new words. We've had dual, so I really love this word.
Wow, has been super popular. Chris,
yeah.
that's a success. You're going to teach us South African English or Dutch. I even remember the etymology of the word.
Yeah. And then this one, the new one, serendipity. Serendipity is used more often than we think. I mean, it appears in many texts I've read recently. I don't know how, but yeah, that would be a suggestion so that we can check every now and then. We should check the language acquisition, because there is a lot of language improvement, as far as I've noticed.
Yeah, yes, ideally we should like keep track somewhere of all the words of the day, and just as a language improvement, and especially for people that pass these professional exams that are all the rage nowadays. That's also useful for them. About whether to expose a particular person or not, I will, for grammatical mistakes, I think you did fine. When I do that role, I just quote the mistakes. I don't really say who did it because it's really irrelevant, and most of the time, sorry, many people repeat the same mistakes. However, in terms of ums and ahs and filler words, it's perfectly fine to name and shame the culprit as you did with Shakya. So Shakya, no need to record your speech because this is being recorded, just watch it. But it would have been useful to like say how many, especially for the top culprits. You did 12. As I always mention, in some of our physical clubs here in Spain, we do charge for mistakes, 10 cents of a euro for each filler word. And we collect all that money, and then we have a huge, well, you know that in Spain we like partying, so we have a huge party now and then with those funds.
What is the price for each?
It depends on each club, but it can be 10 cents of euro or 5 cents of euro, or it can be a euro if you are in a rush to improve. Now for the hot questions evaluator. Sorry.
No, I said that if that happens, then I'm going to get bankrupt then.
Yeah, but next meeting you're going to have 0 filler words, I can assure you. For the hot questions evaluator, fantastic job, Anna, considering it's your first participation. I didn't get to understand what's your preferred name. Is it Anna? Or not what we choose, but how you like to be called?
Anna. Anna is...
Okay, Anna, great. So I like that today has been an exceptional meeting in that you actually check the documentation and check the rules for the hot questions, and then you quoted that, yes, the hot questions master did comply with those rules, because sometimes we get asked fantastic questions and it's not really the purpose of the section. The purpose of the section is preparing for a real life situation. And believe it or not, I have been asked questions like those in social settings, even informal settings, that are quite unexpected, like cheating, or would you have a relationship with your ex-partner or whatever. And you have to, just a reminder, you don't need to answer the question. Actually, it's quite a skill to weasel out of it. And I love that you said, I prefer hot questions because that's like a sign that maybe you would volunteer for this section next time. what I missed as a small piece for improvement is feedback on every single participant, especially in terms of how they could improve. Now for the listening evaluator, congratulations. I liked a lot that the questions were exactly at the right level of detail. They were neither too generic, like what did Chris talk about, or in terms of the language of animals, nor they were excessively specific in terms of, I don't know, what particular data did Elon Musk quote. I think this is the right level of detail at which we have to listen. What I would have liked is a bit more, let's say, remember, I'm not speaking as an academic, it's just my personal opinion when I say what I would have liked. A bit more agility in terms of handling the section, so that if you see that there is no one volunteering, just pick anyone and that's it. And for the language improvement games, great job, Chris. I liked it. Storytelling is always great. You made everyone speak. And I like that you didn't push Michał when he didn't want to speak. That's something that usually the leader of a section is shocked when someone just outright refuses. You have to have, in general, for the rest of the members, you have to have this feeling of whether you can push a bit more because the person is shy, or whether there are some circumstances and you shouldn't. And that's an art as well. A couple of things for improvement. It would be good if we had some definitions of the words, because some of them were complicated. I didn't know some of them, for example, and I can assume that's a shared situation. And about the collective storytelling, I don't know, we to keep trying that, it doesn't really seem to produce any meaningful story, as we've seen. I've been thinking about how we can make this work. Maybe as a suggestion, there could be someone writing what actually people say during the story, because otherwise it just turns out into some sort of gibberish of unconnected statements. It was day and night. I was inside. I was cooking a soup. Then I was outside. Then I was with my bed. Then I was under my bed. So it's just, I don't know. Maybe there is a way in which we can make this work. And probably if you share your screen, for example, or maybe if someone can assist you, because it can become too cumbersome, and that someone types what people are saying, then that can, I don't know, provide some context for everyone. Still, it's something that we need to work on, because it's a really useful exercise, especially for creativity. And let's see if we can produce something. And this is my evaluation. Congratulations, everyone. This was an absolutely fantastic meeting.
Thanks to everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Wait a minute.
Wait. Yeah.
I would like just to ask you one more thing for our next meeting. If there is any volunteer, at least for the meeting leader, so we won't get on Friday night without any preparation.
Or for any other role.
Yeah, or for any other role, of course.
Can I be the meeting leader?
Okay, great. And for the other roles, now or in the next few days, maybe Asha, Kia, try to organize next meeting.
I don't remember the name of Shakir roles for today, but I like his role the most. I think I can do this. Take some videos and evaluate the video.
It's part of the educational path. So for each educational project, Shakia is on number 4, which is speech structure. And starting from that project, you have 2 sections in each project. One is a speech analysis, one is a speech delivery. So basically, long story short, you will need to get to that particular project. You can start with the first prepared speeches, and then you'll get there.
Yeah, so you can do the first speech for for the next week then, Anna.
No. I'm
There's always a first step to everything, Anna.
I feel worried about Elon Musk today. So I was, oh my God, Elon Musk, you're so So I was nervous about Elon Musk role. So I'm not ready for next time to be Elon Musk.
No, but that's not. I mean, Anastasia's role was different. It's called Crossfire, and it's exposing herself to like inquisitive, even hostile questioning. And by the way, I forgot to mention again that she did a fantastic job, and I hope she's not mad at us. But you know, at least the preparation for reality. No, a prepared speech is just prepare. You don't get to answer questions. You're just preparing a speech on some topic for 2 to 4 minutes or 4 to 6 minutes.
And it could be my next role for next meeting. I already.
If you like, I mean, that's your call.
And this is
so nobody's
another,
here to, nobody's is going to force you anything.
Yeah.
So, and it's maybe and maybe you have the everything. It's the guidelines and everything, objectives and everything is been there. I mean, we can share it. You can go through with that and get an idea. First one, actually, it's simple. What you have to talk about is what you feel and what you like, whatever thing that you like, that's the thing that's in the first project that you have to talk about. Whatever the thing that you like about, if I'm correct, for 3 to 4 minutes, if the time means. That's it. Simple.
Yeah. And the topic, I can choose any topic I want, or there is a list of.
You need to speak about things that you like, anything that you like.
Anything.
And there is also.
Maybe we will.
Anyway, no need to push or press unlike here right now. You can decide later.
Sorry, just one recommendation from my side for the timer of the next time. Probably the timer can post in the chart the time for everyone. And when we're talking about the section, hot question section, for example, for the people who are answering the question as well. For example, I don't know, Alexander, 1 minute 30 seconds.
Yeah, that would be useful indeed.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, you're right. And Anna, you will find the project session. Somebody can post the link for her to review the things I like section, the projects.
Yes, we will post the documentation, all the documentation on the group again. All the new ones. Better, yes.
Right.
Is a 3S. Can you, he wants to tell us something, maybe give us a feedback. Is the first time for you here, 3S?
Oh, yeah, he's a friend of mine from here in India. He's just a spectator today. You want to speak, Suri?
Yes, I just want to know if everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. No, I cannot give up the timing, but I'll just tell you real quick and crisp. Kopi Prasad is my super senior from the same school where we studied. We passed out. So I'm in touch with Kopi Prasad, and he just got me into this meeting. And thanks. And it was a kind of an interesting session that I've been part of after a very long time. It's fun, and it's good to know people and how to talk and with respect to the time management and how to speak and how to be very clear in less time, and a lot of fun questions by Florina. I really love that. And Elon Musk, when I just saw the name, I was like, oh, is it Elon Musk in the meeting? And then I was asking Prasad, is it Elon Musk, the same guy for Tesla? Then he said, no, it's Anastasia acting like Elon Musk. I was like, okay, what do you mean by acting? Then I was just trying to get a hang of what actually is happening. Everybody are talking and everybody are doing this, role play and all. And then I got to know that, kind of spot it. You just kind of throw some questions at Elon Musk, and then he has to answer these 3 questions, That's pretty cool. And yeah, it was pretty interesting session. So I had a lot of questions for Elon Musk, but next time I'll be prepared. I didn't want to ask too many questions because I follow Elon Musk very closely, and so I had a lot of questions to ask. Yeah, that's pretty much. So basically, I'm from India. I'm from a place called Hyderabad, and I'm an IT professional. Yeah, I don't know what else. Probably you can just ask me something. I can tell.
Right. Thank you, Sri. Back to the meeting.
Thanks everyone.
Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you,
Right.
everyone. Thank you,
Yeah,
especially
thank
Julia,
you.
for being the meeting leader. We have the meeting leader for next meeting. And well, we pick roles in the chat.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you
everyone.
very much, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah,
Happy
thank you.
weekend. Happy weekend.
Have a nice
Bye
weekend.
now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Likewise. Bye-bye.
Nice weekend,
Bye.
everybody.